In today's video, I talk about legal stuff. Cue the intro. Hello folks, and welcome to the channel. My name is Andrew. I'm a part-time eBay and Amazon reseller and a mental health advocate. And today I wanted to tackle a subject that is a bit controversial in the eBay community, and that is one that I've tackled before, but it comes up quite often, so I thought I would delve into it once again. And that is the subject of business sellers versus private sellers, and why as a business it is important to be registered as a business seller on eBay. We all know that eBay does fantastic offers for private seller accounts, and perhaps actually should take a moment to explain for those who are not quite familiar or just at the start of their eBay journey, the fact that there are two different types of accounts you can have on eBay here in the UK. You can have a private or individual seller's account, which is purely for the purposes of selling your own items onto whoever wants to buy them, basically. You might have, say, this jumper, zip-through jumper thing, great at describing clothes for a clothing seller, aren't I? And you might no longer want to wear it, doesn't fit, or you just don't like the style of it anymore. So you decide, rather than donating it to charity or bidding it, you're going to try and sell it on to recoup some of the cost that you've made it, cost that you spent on in buying it in the first place. So you've got a variety of different means you could do that. You could take it to the car boot, sell it there. You could put it on Facebook Marketplace, you could put it on Vinted, put it on Depop, put it on eBay. eBay currently now allow you to sell this item for free on eBay if you are selling your own items. If you are selling items for a profit, i.e. a reseller, then you should have what's known as a business account on eBay to clearly demonstrate to eBay users that you're actually selling as a business. And basically eBay defines this as anybody who's buying items and selling them with the intention of making a profit. The intention is actually an important bit as well, because sometimes you will sell stuff at a loss, but when you bought that item, you bought it with the intention of making a profit on it. I might actually be able to sell this item on eBay for a profit on my individual seller's account, because I probably only paid £1 or £2 for it in the charity shop, and it's probably worth slightly more than that. So if I sold it on my private account, I might make a profit, especially now that it's free. However, if I did that, that wouldn't cause too much of an issue, because the relevant stuff that applies to that is capital gains. Capital gains only tends to kick in above £6,000 is my understanding. I might be a bit wrong on that. I'm not too hot on capital gains, to be honest. If I had something like this, I would just donate it to the business and sell it via the business. I don't tend to use my individual account. But yeah, by and large, the intention is key when you're picking up items, and if you can demonstrate the intention that you've bought that item for personal use, so me wearing this here on a video and every day in public, and photos of me in it, clearly is an indication of it's been purchased for individual private use, and therefore I'm okay to sell it on. Me having this brand new game here that I've bought and will probably got about 20 of them, and will never need to have 20 of them. I've clearly bought those items to sell on for a profit, and therefore for eBay's purposes I should be registered as a business user. Now, the reason this is controversial, just circling back to things, is because private sellers on eBay, as well as now getting free listings on clothing, get up to 1,000 free listings a month, I believe, and frequently get offers. It seems like nearly every week, but it's probably not quite that frequent, for things like 80% off final value fees, and various other fantastic offers that make selling really cheap, because eBay wants to encourage people to sell on its platform, because they've identified that at least a quarter of people, possibly more, might even be 3/4, I can't remember which way around it goes, but a large number of people who come onto eBay to sell end up buying stuff on the platform as well. So therefore they actually encourage private sellers to come on there, because they know that those people will stay within the eBay ecosystem and buy from other sellers on eBay, and eBay makes money from those sales, because the majority of those sales tend to be from business sellers, resellers, whoever. So yeah, that's why eBay chucks out those offers. Unfortunately, if you're a business seller on eBay, you get very few offers. Most of us, not all of us, but most of us will be paying for a shop subscription, which includes a number of listings. I'm on the featured store, which includes 1,500 listings per month. I'm always over that. I have 2,900 listings roughly at the minute. So I have to pay eBay insertion fees on other 1,400 listings. I then pay a final value fee. So if I sell an item for £15, I give eBay a percentage of that £15. I don't get any reductions on that, like on a weekly or 2 weekly or whatever it may be basis. I may occasionally get an offer from eBay, maybe once a year, that gives me a reduction, but I certainly don't get them with the frequency and private sellers, because, to be honest, we are the cash cow that keeps feeding eBay the money it needs as business sellers. That shop subscription fee that we pay, those insertion fees and those final value fees, are what generates eBay the majority of its profits. So yeah, it's a great way for eBay to make money by having this segregation, but it's not actually the primary reason why eBay has got this sort of two-account system, as it were. The reason, plainly and simply, is to comply with the UK trading laws. If eBay didn't, they could be seen as supporting criminal activity, and we are talking about criminal charges here for non-compliance. So I just want to make that absolutely clear. This is a criminal offence if you're not complying, because there is a lot of misconception about whether it's a civil offence or not. It's not civil, it's a criminal offence. Anyway, yeah, there's various different legislation that we have in the UK to protect consumer rights, and to make sure that people are, being dealt with and treated fairly, and have certain expectations met when purchasing. Those expectations for private sellers are much lower than they are for business sellers. As a private seller, you basically just have to accurately describe your item and make sure that when you send it, the buyer actually receives the item they were expecting. If they do, and then they change their mind, you have the option to accept or reject that return. If you don't describe it appropriately, then in that case the buyer has the right of return. It's, I believe, the consumer contracts or consumer bonds protection regulations that cover that, of around about 2014 or 2015. You can look into that in a bit more detail yourselves separately. I don't need to show you all of that. Those regulations also cover business sellers, as businesses selling online. We have to offer certain protection in regards to distance selling. People often talk about distance selling regulations. They're not actually called that anymore. It is just all part of the consumer protection stuff, as it were. But basically, we have to give buyers the right of return, even if they've just change their mind about a purchase. A lot of people don't like accepting returns, and so therefore they go on a private account, which is bad because they're not complying with that legislation. I've done another video where I talk about that legislation in detail. A couple of years ago. I don't intend to go much into it because honestly it's quoted so often on Facebook that I genuinely think pretty much everyone who's watching this video will probably be aware of those. What I think people aren't aware of, and the bit that isn't actually quoted by eBay on their guidance for business sellers, is about being what's known as a wolf in sheep's clothing. That is actually a government term. And on that note, actually, I should point out that I am not in any way a lawyer or a financial advisor, or although I am employed by a government department, my views and everything that I express in here purely represents my own views as an individual who has some experience of selling on eBay for a number of years and has taken the time to reach out to specialists in trading standards and lawyers, shall we say. I don't know what the correct term for them is now, I can't remember, but people who've got legal expertise in this, and I'm simply passing on the understanding that they have given me. Any errors or inaccuracies I make in doing that are my own and are not representative or reflective of anyone else, so please don't sue me, basically. Misrepresentation. There was an act in 2008 which covered the concept of a wolf in sheep's clothing, which basically is where a trader sells a product that is linked to their business, but sells it as a private individual, so it doesn't actually declare that they're a business. And this act actually is one of the key ones that drives eBay to having to provide a route for us to present as businesses to customers, and is actually why Vinted currently doesn't offer that service, because they want to ensure that they're legislatively compliant with it, as well as the consumer protection regulations that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to go switch to future Andrew, who's going to show you a bit more detail about this particular act, purely to point you in the direction of it, because I'm not a legal expert, but I'm just conscious that it's not something that gets shared about a lot. It doesn't seem to ever get mentioned when these conversations come up, so it is important to share it, and it is important to make people aware that in not complying with it, you are committing a criminal offence, and therefore you are at risk of a criminal conviction, and not from HMRC, which seems to be the other misconception. People talk about HMRC don't care as long as you pay your taxes. Yeah, absolutely. HMRC's job is to collect taxes. They're not there to tell you how you should run your business. Any legislation that's written isn't going to say, as well, this is an important point before I move off, isn't going to say you must have a business account on eBay. No legislation is ever going to be written that will name an individual company in it, because that company could go bust at any point and you'd have to rewrite all that legislation. It's not how government works. It's not how legislation works. Legislation is written in a way as to be as generic as possible, so that it doesn't have to go through getting rewritten, having another act of parliament and getting debated in parliament for years, because that's what happens when it changes. It can take years to get changes through. So therefore it's written to be broad and specific. It will never say you must have a business account on eBay, so stop looking for that. If you're looking for that wording, you're not going to find it. But yeah, let me show you some of the details of this particular act from 2008. So we'll switch to future Andrew, who will chat with you shortly. Okay, so here's future Andrew. Hello, folks. Quickest way to find this document that I'm going to show you is to type in wolf in sheep's clothing consumer protection on Google. There are other ways you can get to it, but I thought the wolf in sheep's clothing analogy is quite a good one. What we're talking about is the Consumer Protection from Unfair Trading Regulations, which I think came out in 2008. And try saying that without sounding boring. Anyway, if you click on it, there's actually a leaflet that has been produced by the UK government. And I won't bore you by reading through all of it. There is quite a lot that you need to be aware of. But the key bit, the key sentence in it, and you can delve more into the act yourself and legislation, read around it, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And this is where somebody falsely claims or creates the impression that the trader is not acting for purposes relating to his or her trade, business, craft or profession, or falsely representing themselves as a consumer. Now, how this is interpreted by eBay is that this is somebody who is representing themselves as a private individual on eBay by having an individual account. The way to avoid being a wolf in sheep's clothing and to honestly declare yourself as a business and trader who is trading goods and therefore selling them for a profit is to open a business account. And that right there in a nutshell is why eBay actually have business accounts, because I'm aware of all the arguments that you can accept returns on a private account, and I absolutely agree. You can set 30 days, you could put all the policies there in place that would be the same as a private account. What you can't do is have that little bit of information in the about section that says that you are a business, and it's that key bit of information there that stops you from being a wolf in sheep's clothing. There's a lot more that could be said on the subject, but this video has been 20 minutes long already. So the key point is, if you don't want to face criminal charges, don't be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Declare yourself as a business. What are the chances that you'll face criminal charges? Probably not going to be that high. What you're more likely to find if you are trading as a private individual is that your account will get reported to eBay by somebody, or Vinted, or whatever service platform you're on. Your account will get reported by another trader, and you'll get your account deactivated or suspended, which does, contrary to popular belief, does happen quite often on eBay. The number of times, well, I can't even count the number of times I've had people message me who have had their account suspended, deactivated, or been forced to move on to a business account by eBay, not because I think eBay has spotted that they're trading as a private individual, but I suspect because somebody's just reported them as doing that. And there is the option to report people. I've done it myself, actually. Hands up, I'll be honest. I had trouble with a buyer who was harassing me relentlessly. When I looked on their account, it was very obvious that they were trading. So I reported them to eBay, and their account was deactivated, and they were no longer harassing me as well. So bonus. But yeah, there will be people out there who will report your account to eBay, and eBay will act on it despite what you may hear. They will say, oh, hang on a second, our trust and safety team looked into this, and actually we believe you're right, they're not complying with the UK legislation in this, therefore we will give them a suspension. eBay may give the option to switch over to a business account, or they may just decide to suspend you altogether. So why take the risk? To save some money on fees, great, but I've got to be honest here, folks. If you can't make a profit by selling items justly and legally, you shouldn't be selling those items. They're the wrong items to be selling. You need to have a look at your business model. You need to have a look at the items that you're sourcing and picking up, and make sure that you are getting stuff that can make you a decent return after eBay has taken its slice of the pie. If you can't do that, this isn't the right business for you. I'm sorry to be harsh, but that is the truth of it. I do feel deeply for people selling clothing that are impacted by eBay doing clothing for free. This doesn't take anything away from their experiences. I feel those people will definitely see the potential for a reduction in sales and a reduction in their profits. So I'm not in any way saying that eBay offering clothing for free is a good thing, but I'm just stating my view that if you can't in general make a profit on eBay on a business account, then there's something going wrong in your business model, and it's usually the products that you're sourcing don't have enough margin in them. So perhaps it's time to change that. So yeah, anyway, there we go. Don't be a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's my top advice for you. If you are, probably going to get your eBay account suspended. You may come up against somebody who reports you to trading standards as well, and you could potentially risk criminal charges as a result, because trading standards do like to prosecute eBay sellers. You can find examples on Google of them doing that. The ones that come up initially are around counterfeit goods, but there's all sorts of things around shill bidding, fake reviews, and various other things that are actually covered by this act as well. So just be really careful, and if you are considering following some of the bad advice that I've seen out there about selling as a private individual, well, just don't. Bye for now. Forgotten to comment, but if you've got any thoughts, comment in below, and I would recommend doing your own research into this as well. Don't just take the word of some YouTuber who you may never have met or spoken to before. Always do your own research. Speak to trading standards, speak to those legal bodies that exist to help support you in your business decision making as well. I'm signposting you to the relevant stuff. But yeah, thank you very much, folks. Bye for now.